Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm your host for Pro Wrestling Talk, James P. Madonna of Megalife21, the hardest-hitting internet talk radio station on the planet. And I have as my very special guest one of the meanest, largest, toughest, most impressive, and for his size, one of the fastest and most agile professional wrestlers known to man in the universe, the one and only, the Peacemaker, the world's toughest prison guard. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great having you, sir.
Thanks, Father.
All right, now, Peacemaker. Has anybody ever told you that you resemble a tad bit of the late, great Ray Traylor, the Big Boss Man?
Not only have they told me that, but ever since day one in my arrival in the ECPW, I have been told how many ways I have been related to him. They have told me, am I his cousin? Am I his nephew? And the real intelligent people have said, is he my father? Now, anyone with half a brain knows that if you see his picture next to mine, the only way he would have me as a son is when he was 4 years old. So no, he is not my father. He is not my uncle. He is not my cousin. Before I answer how I am or am not related to him, let me first start off by stating a few things. First off, I want to congratulate you for having the gumption, for lack of a better word, for finally interviewing me. You are the first person in this entire industry that wants to interview me, because it's known in the locker rooms that I don't care if people get annoyed with what I say or upset. Because if any of the boys that are watching this get upset with me, I wrestle for ECPW, boys. You come there and we'll settle it man to man. Because I'm not a hard guy to find. I'm too slow to run and I'm too big to hide. So you have a problem with me, you come to my ring. And let's see how upset you guys get. Because I'm going to say this right here very clearly, James. Everything that I say is what I meant to say, is what I'll stand behind what I said, and what I'll back up if anybody has a problem with it.
I really admire you saying that, because myself, with me and my partner, when we do the Progressive Discussions Internet Talk Show, and Jesse Ventura, when he does conspiracy theories, we pull no punches. This interview, by the way, is corporate and FCC free, totally uncensored and unrehearsed. Anything could be said during this interview. Remember that. This is not major network where we have to be namby-pambies and we have to worry about what the sponsors think or what the people out there, the customers, think. I never cared for the fans, to be honest with you. I always growing up, I've always admired the heels, and you know, I just think it's great that you believe in utilizing your First Amendment right, freedom of speech, and to deliver hard-hitting truth in this industry, which is very, very lacking. And I feel very honored to be the first to interview the Peacemaker. Many people have turned down my interviews in fear of somebody out there getting pissed at them or disapproving of them.
You know, two things I'm not going to do in this interview. From a young man, I was taught respect, so I'm not going to come on here and scream and yell like the average wrestler does. And unlike these little kids today that come to the matches, I'm not going to use profanity and curse and be disrespectful like most of the wrestling fans out there today. That's why I cannot stand these little kids that come to the match. They like to hand on the railings. They like to spit at you, throw things at you. These kids today have no respect.
Well, it's because they lack old-fashioned discipline. Spare the rod and spoil the child. You have to negotiate with the kids now. Negotiate with them. Talk to them like they're equals, like they're adults. But remember, the parent is the alpha. And the modern-day parents do nothing to discipline their kids. I'm at a buffet. One time I was at a buffet with the reinforcer Andrew Anderson, and these kids are running rampant. You know, all over the restaurant with their toys. Somebody could trip on them, and the parent, and bothering me, tapping me on the shoulder, hello, while I'm eating. Oh, hello, pay attention to me. Hello, hello. Listen, I told the parent, your kids bother me. It's not my kid. It's not my problem. No discipline. And this is what goes on at the wrestling events. The kids are disrespectful to great world-class athletes like the Peacemaker. And you know, even watching, let's say, the WWE, I notice a lot of people referring to the WWE universe out there. Oh, they're number one. They count. Let me tell you something. Too many wrestlers, before they make a real big finishing move on their opponent, I notice they look up at the audience, at the thousands and tens of thousands of people for approval. They look for approval before they do their finishing move. And what happens? It's too late. Their opponent brings the knee up or gets out of the way or whatever, because they're always constantly, the so-called good guys, always constantly looking for approval. The hell with approval. Like Freddie Blassie used to say, I never cared for the fans, and you don't need their approval. You need to concentrate on your matches and your opponent.
Let me tell you something. You want to talk about the parents. The parents today who come to matches, they make me sick. They come with curlers in their hair. The men come with high school football jackets from 20 years ago, fat as all hell. The women come with the low-cut blouses. It's a family show. There's little kids running around, and all these hoochies are running with their chest hanging out. How many times did I have to tell these women, cover up, look at the kid sitting next to you. What message are you sending to your daughters? That's why I hate wrestling fans, and they know I hate the fans. I don't need their approval for anything. Matter of fact, I love when they hate me, because if they can hate me just a little bit as much as I hate them, because they are the biggest bunch of morons who will turn on you in a second. They love you one minute, they hate you the next. You know what I can tell you? Well, you fans can stick your approval rating for the Peacemaker. But like I said, unlike these parents who stink at being parents, teaching these kids respect, I don't have to sit here and curse and use profanity, because I was taught respect from a long time ago.
Well, being from the New York metropolitan area myself, I noticed that fans, not just pro wrestling fans, but let's say New York fans, if you're doing great, they love you. As soon as you get injured or you're in a little slump, they boo at you, they scream at you, they might even curse at you. They're a bunch of ingrates. They're a bunch of opportunistic, blood-sucking parasites. That's what they are. And you know what? A wrestler should concentrate on his match and on his opponent, and not worry about the universe turning to the WWE universe or the whatever universe. Oh, the fans. I'm the people's champion. It's the people's elbow. The people's this. The people's that. It's yours. It's your move. It's your victory and your career, and the money goes into your bank account. Okay? Never mind about the people. The people
get nothing from the wrestlers. The people's elbow. You know, James, I got to admit, you are very well spoken, and if I wasn't represented by the greatest manager in ECPW history, Doug DeVito, I would want you to be my manager. And since you brought his name into the mix, let me tell you fans something. You should show respect to the real heavyweight champion of ECPW, Andrew Anderson. He's out there every night, whether it's in upstate New York or down in Pennsylvania, performing his butt off for you fans. And how do you repay him? You boo him. You call him a sellout. Why? Because he realized that being nice guys finish last. He was a nice guy when he was screwed out of the heavyweight title the last time against some guy who, let me guess, he got an injury and forfeited the title. Yeah, okay. Andrew Anderson will never forfeit the title. If you beat him for it, he will accept it like a man. But you fans better stop calling him a sellout, because the next one of you that call him that, you're going to taste and feel what my version of nightstick justice is. Show respect where it is needed. That's the problem in wrestling today. Not only from the fans, but from the boys in the back. You know, a lot of people say a lot of things in wrestling. There's a lot of terms which I found out when I started talking to the boss. You know, I didn't get to talk to the boss until later in life. We didn't meet due to other people's deception and their ideas until he was on top already. And we used to talk about that. And he used to tell me it was amazing that when he was feuding with Hulk Hogan, his phone never stopped ringing. The boys, as they call themselves, the brothers, wanted to go, let's go to strip joints, boss. Let's go out fishing. Let's go hunting. His phone calls always went returned. His emails, his texts always got returned. And he would tell me, you know what would happen every time he would go out with them, James? It'd all be the same thing. Hey, boss, can you help me out with John? Can you put me over with John? Can you give this tape to John? Can you give this CD, this DVD to John? Can you help me, please? And let me tell you something. I don't name names, but there are a lot of guys in wrestling today who owe their career to the boss. And you know what he told me? That when he was finally out of the WWE, isn't it amazing how his phone stopped ringing? His texts, his emails went unreturned. All those guys, the brothers who wanted to be up his butt like toilet paper to get something from him, all of a sudden had no time for him. You know why, James? I'll tell you why. Because the professional wrestler himself is nothing but a lying coward. They're a coward because you know why? They don't hang out with guys who can't do the business anymore because why? Then they are shown what their own reality is going to be in a short time because whether they like it or not, your body will tell you when it's enough. And they don't want to be reminded of what's going to happen to them. And the boss would tell me, how do you go from being on top of the wrestling world to having your butt kissed by every rat and every fan to having to drive a cab? Because to get into wrestling and to make it into wrestling, you have to give everything of yourself. Not only your relationships with your family and your friends, but your own identity. Most of these guys don't know how to do anything else.
So it's a labor of love. Like the late, great Gorilla Monsoon once said, the only reason why anybody in their right mind would dedicate their life to pro wrestling is because they love it. They love the sport. Because with the injuries and the traveling and everything else, there is no logical reason to choose professional wrestling as a career other than the fact that you love it and your heart is in it. Like you heard Bruno Sammartino speak of the old days when they used to have to wrestle in these boxing rings, and it felt like getting body slammed on concrete.
Let me just stop you there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, a lot of the boys like to blame the promoters for why the wrestlers of today have to wrestle in what I call the no-money matches. They all blame the promoters. It's not the promoters' fault. You know who I blame? I blame Bruno Sammartino. I blame Gorgeous George. And all of those other cowards in the back when wrestling first started, when they... One of the terms I hate is called pay your dues. You know what pay your due means? It means you get bent over. Those guys are the ones who didn't wrestle for anything. They jumped from the top of a building on the concrete if told so, and they never had the balls to say anything different. That's why guys like me and everyone today have to wrestle in no-money matches. That's why guys like me and other talented individuals, I will say that, have to travel 3 hours one way, 3 hours back, and if we're lucky, we get $20. How does a promoter think that we can make it on that? Answer, he doesn't care because he don't have to.
That's not enough for gas and tolls, for God's sake.
That's not even enough to get you out of New Jersey, much less get you to upstate New York or Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even get a hamburger deluxe with steak fries in the diner after the match. You can't buy shit with it. It's ridiculous. The word professional, it means that you have expertise in your chosen field and you get paid for what you do. Professional. There's so many workers out there, especially the young kids, that get nothing, and on top of that, they get criticized and yelled at and scolded. They have to put the ring together and take it apart, whereas there should be special people paid to do that, not others, workers, young guys, suckered into doing it after they paid money to go to wrestling camp. Good hard-earned money and lots of it because it's not cheap.
Oh, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap by it.
And why do they do it? Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, all those other guys back then. People should say, oh, Peacemaker, you should show respect. Respect for what? If they would have had some balls and formed something like a union. That's right, I said it. If they would have formed that, then we wouldn't have to go through what we go through. So thanks a lot, guys. We owe you so much. That's why I'm glad you said that. The word profession means you get paid. So that's why they stopped calling this professional wrestling. Another thing they call this, which I come to find out later in life after meeting the boss, they call this thing family entertainment.
That's an insult. Entertainer, as far as instead of being called an athlete, a professional athlete, like you used to be called.
These guys are some of the most agile, best wrestlers I've ever seen. I've seen guys do things that are unheard of, and they do it because they love the business. These guys are some of the best athletes I've ever seen. Just because they're not wearing a football helmet or hitting a baseball or kicking a soccer ball. The wrestler is one of the toughest guys ever. Let me tell any of you who dispute that wrestling is what they call fake. You come to a school and you take one fall by yourself. No one will even touch you, and you will see God when you land on there. I am sick and tired of everybody calling wrestling fake. Because anybody wants to see, please come up to the wrestling school and I'll show you how fake it's not.
Yeah, well, Dr. D. David Schultz made John Stossel know that right away, and it's like falling. It's not a trampoline, by the way. You jabronis out there. It's like falling on a kitchen floor.
There's no springs underneath. The mat is this big. Anybody who comes to a wrestling match before the ring gets there and sees it set up, they know exactly what it's about. That's why I hate when the fans say, "Oh, everything is fake." You know, I really like to punch them in the face, just like he did, and ask if that's fake. But let me just start about family entertainment. Family entertainment? Why don't we go ask the families of wrestlers who have passed away, either by a tragic accident like Owen Hart, or those guys that pass away by the wrestling heart attack? We all know what the wrestling heart attack is. It's the guys that are on the way down. They can't be in the business anymore. Then all of a sudden they die at 30 years old or 20 years old from wrestling's heart attack. Why don't we go ask their families when every Christmas, every birthday, every anniversary, they got to go to a graveyard? Are they entertained? Are they happy? Are they happy with the choice that loved one made when the kids are not there, when their father's not there to see their kids grow up and get married? Is that family entertained? I don't think so. They need to place this into a term that is appropriate. It's not professional wrestling. It's not family entertainment, because there's not a wrestling family out there that's entertained that when their man has to leave on a beautiful day, instead of going to the beach, to go wrestle in a no-money match. You know how many times I had to walk out the door and leave my beautiful daughter there when she went off with her mother to go to the beach, and I had to go, oh my God, I'm going to wrestle, and I came home broker than when I left. Why do I do it? I'll tell you why I did it. It goes into what's different between me and the boss. It's why we got into this business. Boss got into this business because he was like every other sucker, and I say that, who ate, slept, and breathed this business. He loved this business. Me, I didn't get into this business until late in life. Why? Because I hate this business. Every time I jam this into somebody's ribs, it takes away the pain I feel of not being able to talk to the boss. Every time I take this nightstick and choke somebody to death, it's my therapy. People say, Peacemaker, you have a lot of anger issues over what's wrestling. Maybe you should go talk to a therapist, go to his office. I say, you know what? I do talk to a therapist. He's right here, and his office is the ring. And every time one wrestler feels my nightstick justice, I get 1 second of pleasure for the pain that I went through of not being able to talk to the boss anymore. Now to get back to your question of how I am related or not to the boss. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to meet my family until later in life. Why? As you can tell, boss has a Georgia Southern accent. Me, I have a New York, New Jersey crap accent. Why? Because I'm not from Georgia. I was born and raised here. Why do you say? I'll explain. I am the product of an extramarital affair, one-night stand. Why was my identity not known? Because my father was married with children, which would make me what, James? What would it make me to those kids? A half-brother! That's right. And the only reason why I found out who I truly was that, what do they call that, the pointy slip of the tongue? Somehow I think it was on purpose. That's why it took me so long to get to know Boss. That's why I hate this business, because I didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough time to get to know him. Because why? The wrestling industry. It eats you up and it spits you out. It takes everything you have to give and throws you away like garbage. Unless you're lucky to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and so on and so forth, and get into the big time. Guys like myself and every other independent wrestler, we're just going to keep wrestling in the same no-money matches because everybody don't have the balls to finally stand up and say, enough of these no-money matches. Don't these promoters, James, wouldn't they realize how much harder wrestlers would wrestle if we knew we were covered? Do you think wrestlers want to go knowing that, oh my God, if I get hurt and I can't work, I'm not getting no money from the promoter? And another thing, the promoters get mad because a lot of guys miss matches because their cars break down, because here's something the fans don't know. A lot of the independent wrestlers drive cars that are old and breaking down because they can't afford new ones. That's why. The wrestler that you know, even the big-time wrestler that comes to the ECPW, they're broke. They have child support payments. They have ex-wives chasing them. You think a 50, 60-year-old man wants to wrestle because he can't escape the limelight? They wrestle because they have no choice.
And they're in constant pain. If they've been around the business for a while, they have to take some of them prescription painkillers.
Some.
Which can be addictive. Can.
Let me tell you something. That's what these fans don't see. They don't see when these guys are in the back and they walk like they're 30 years older than their actual age. Every fan that tells me it's fake, I like to grab them by their head and bring them in the back and have them say, look at the way this man walks. Is that fake? Do you think it's fake when he can barely stand up? You think guys like Jeff Hardy and all of them can actually get out of bed the next day or the day after that? Fake. The next fan that ever calls what I do fake, whether I like it or not, I'm going to stick this right up their ass. Excuse my language.
Well, you know, it's obvious what's going on today. I mean, but I just want to say something about these people who, anytime I complain, bitch and moan, rant about something valid, right away they call me, oh, a hater. You're a hater. They like to say hater. Then they say, like, anger management. Hey, we don't start any trouble. We just don't take any shit.
Anger management is this. This is how I measure. It's how I manage my anger. And the final term I'm going to destroy, the most misused word in all of wrestling, brother. There is no brothers in wrestling. There is no fraternity in wrestling because everybody's going for the same contract. They're going for the same belt. They're going for the same limelight. These boys would slit each other's throats if they had the chance. They would sell their own mothers, James, to get that contract. I would never sell my own mother to get a contract, not until I beat the hell out of her first, because she lied to me about who I was.
These people that call you brother, they want something from you. It's just like anytime a hot-looking chick walks up to you with a big smile, they usually want something too. They're parasitic. They're opportunistic. It's really every man for himself. You know the piranha fish? They only school together when it's time to mate, and they have nothing better to do. But it's really, there's no unity amongst piranha. It's every piranha for himself, because after they eat, they would just as soon as bite the buddy next to them in half.
Case in point, you want to talk about brother? Why didn't somebody mention that to Shawn Michaels right before he went into that match with Bret Hart? He knew what was going on. It's common knowledge. They made 10 DVDs about it. He was a brother. But did he still go through with that match? Did he surrender the title? Oh no! He ran on the road with Bret Hart. They ate together. They hung out together. They were brothers. And guess what? He slit his throat and took his belt. That's why I hate the wrestling business. I do it because every guy that I hit with this nightstick is a chance that I put him out so the promoter don't have his star and he can't make money. That's why I do it.
Yeah, of course they're all, bosom buddies because they're on the air, national, worldwide television. But in reality, it is a selfish business. It can be a very sleazy business. Of course, somebody not getting paid, somebody getting stiffed. Bobby Heenan's very first match, as a youth, he said that the promoter gave him like $3, and he looked at it and said, "What the hell is this? What am I going to do with this? I have family to support back in Chicago." It's like, what a slap in the face that must have been to Bobby Heenan.
To Bobby Heenan. What a slap in the face to the Peacemaker. What a slap in the face to every other independent guy that's got to wrestle for nothing. He should have took that $3, crumbled it up, and threw it back in the promoter's face. But he didn't. What did he do? He got bent over and paid his dues. That's why we're suffering today.
I invented a new proverb. It's not Confucius. He that bends over backwards a little too far ends up bending forwards in a fixed lock position permanently. But I tell you, my coworker who is retired, the Wizard Ozzy Bucco, he would love to manage you if some of my friends would book an international overseas show. If you don't mind getting on a plane for 20 hours and doing a show in a major city somewhere in the Orient.
I've been offered that. But the one thing why I've turned down most, because I'm not stupid. I've heard plenty of stories that guys have gotten promised the X amount of dollars to go overseas. They get a quarter of it in a deposit so they can take care of their bills. They don't get anything until they come back, and then they never get anything. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." They end up screwed. I only go on tours. They want me. I will give them the best show they can ever see, but pay in full. Nobody does that. That's why I'd rather stay home and not go on those tours, because why would I want to go over to some bum screw-off country for 25%? Pay me in full, and I'll show you why I'm worth every penny.
And I heard some famous promoters have screwed people, too. I watched a video of that poor soul, the Ugandan giant Kamala, what happened to him in a big organization, getting screwed over big time, and he was a main eventer in Madison Square Garden. He got screwed completely, not only with pay, but with the profit from his action figure. He got pathetically microscopic amount compared to the other wrestlers in the big organization. And to me, it sounds like racism, but
Because every wrestler falls to the same scheme. They all get promised fool's gold from false prophets. They all fall to the same bull crap.
I like what you just said. Fool's gold from false prophets.
That's right. And if you don't believe me, there's thousands of guys who wrestle on the independent league that has been screwed over that'll agree. Maybe the boys won't like what I say, but damn, every single one of them will agree with it. I just have the balls to step up and say it. And like I said to any boy out there, any of the boys out there, you want a piece of me? Come to ECPW. I'm not run for nobody. And believe me, you better come prepared, because you will feel my nightstick justice. I swear to you on that.
So, in other words, pale-faced promoter does speaketh with forked tongue. Well, that means
what he said.
That means he's full. They're two-faced. They tell you one thing, they do another.
Remember, this is the wrestling fans. You can't speak like
You
they don't know what they're
You
talking.
can't use proverbs.
No, you can't. They don't.
Oh, you guys. Oh, you know what? It makes me sick to see professional wrestlers that, in a big organization, always looking to the fans before they do their move. Like they go like this sometimes with their hands to get the fans to scream And then they jump off the top turnbuckle, boom, and they don't land on their opponent. They get hurt. It's your own fault. I don't feel sorry for you. You're idiots. Don't look for approval with the fans. The fans really don't care about you. They just want to be entertained like the bloodlust in ancient Rome in the Colosseum.
The exact same thing. That's why when I look at the fans, I tell them where they can stick it. I call their babies ugly. I call their women ugly. I call their men fat, disgusting pieces of crap. I don't care if they like me or if they hate me. The funny part is the morons that after I'm done insulting their little kid, they're laughing hysterically because they're mindless morons. I would want to kill a person that calls my little baby the ugliest kid he's ever seen, breeded by a brother and sister. But no, these idiots, they laugh while the kid is hysterically crying, and I like that. I once told the kid, James, a little girl, I looked her right in the face, and I said, "Hey, you little girl, don't go to sleep tonight because I'm the boogeyman, and I'm going to come and get you and take you away from your mommy and daddy." And she was crying hysterically. You know what the worst part was? Her parents were right behind her, laughing their asses off. That's what's wrong with these people that come to the wrestling matches. That's why wrestling is looked at it like a carnival, because of the idiots that sit there in their pajamas, curlers, high school football jackets that are ripped and shredded.
They're like dysfunctional, inbred,
country, backwater pieces of garbage. That's all they are.
They walk around with stupid smiles on their face, sometimes talking to themselves, going,
I bet you if you got on the microphone and said, how many one of you fans out there are doctors, are lawyers, are CEOs of companies, not one person would stand up. But if you ask them how many people are out there working a mailroom for these people, every one of you welfare recipients would stand up. That's the type. We need a better crowd of people. We need the people who like to come out in suit and ties and have the big money. Then the rest on the independent scene would make the money. How are you going to make money from somebody who comes to a wrestling match only because their welfare check has come in?
You want to attract a better quality of clientele. Wrestling promoters and wrestling companies have to stop doing stupid things on their show, really dumbass things on their show. And I mean, we can go on and on. That's a whole nother talk show about all the ridiculous stunts in today's modern wrestling. I even think the WWE Divas music is really lame and nauseating and stupid. Like, it's like for little teeny boppers. That's another thing. They're targeting the kids with this, Hannah Montana, Nickelodeon sounding music. They're coming out to, to music that little girls listen to. Make me sick.
The women in wrestling make me sick. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because they all want to pose in Playboy. They all come out there with their chest almost hanging out, shorts up the crack of their butt. They all suck as wrestlers. The WWE's women are putrid to watch. And the only reason why we watch them is we're hoping a boobie would fall out or their shorts get ripped off. Why don't they go off the top rope and land on somebody in a senton splash like the men do? The women cry they want to be created equal. You want to be created equal? No, then you should be powerbombed through a table on a nightly basis just like the men are. That's why the men in wrestling are superior to the women. And the women are only there to comfort the men when they come backstage.
That's why I love the old original ECW. They used to put women through tables in the business.
Those were the real women. The women of today, the plastic Barbie dolls, they make me sick. I can't even watch it. It's the same thing, a plastic Barbie doll with the fake boobies jumping around. They do a 2-minute match. They don't do anything in the match. All they're doing is they're called space takers. That's all they're doing while the real wrestlers are getting ready to come out.
Space takers and perhaps knob polishers. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, of course. How do you think they got that?
Kissing ass and kissing front. Now, I used to correspond with a well-established, very athletic, well-built female wrestler. And we used to chat now and then. But every time the chat would come to an end, she tried to sell me her photos and calendars which were all like, you know, like Playboy penthouse style poses. It's like, I don't know. I mean, the sports, the athletes of the past did not charge fans hundreds of dollars or God knows what for the souvenirs, just to have a picture. I don't like hanging somebody's pictures on the wall. What am I going to do with that? At my age, I want the real thing. You know, what am I going to do with looking at a calendar, paying extra money for a calendar with pictures? I mean, for God's sakes, you can watch porn for free on the internet.
Well, some sites. I've crashed many a computer because of that. Let me tell you something. You know what's really funny? The WWE fan access for WrestleMania. You look online. To get in cost over $100 just to get in the door.
What? Great balls of fire.
Oh, that's not it. You want an autograph? Anywhere from 20 to 50. You want a picture? 50 to 100. Those idiots, fan access. It should be more like robbing fans. It should be more like FIFA fans. You're spending hundreds of dollars. Hey, look, there's guys like Triple H. Let me get his picture. Oh, $50? Thank you. That's why it just, you know, it makes me speechless. I couldn't believe it.
When I was a kid, my mother's boyfriend brought me to Madison Square Garden, and the main event was Georgie Animal Steel versus Pedro Morales. I had a good seat. The tickets were like $12. But now, to see a WWE pay-per-view,
to see the same guys do the same shows, the same guys winning the WWE title, the same guys doing the same things. But you know what? I guess I got to give them credit. They did what they had to do, and they're in the big time. But guess where they're going to be when their career ends? They're going to be right in the ECPW, feeling my nightstick justice, because I will be there to greet them. Because every one of those names that turn their back on the boss, some of them are still wrestling, the old timers, because they can't do anything else. I've caught a few of them in the ECPW. They all come there, because I got to admit, one thing I will say about the ECPW, it has great shows.
Yes, is that still ECPW1.com?
That's what it is.
Okay.
Thank you, James, for saying that. I love when, as they call a name, comes through a town. And if I'm able to get my hands on them, oh, yeah. They pay for turning their back on the boss. They pay for it.
Well, you are long overdue for not only a title, a belt around your waist, but to have that belt as a dynasty, like the greats of yesteryear had it for a long time. You're way overdue. You're a naturally big man. You don't need any sports enhancing drugs. You're a naturally big man like Killer Kowalski, guys like that, Don Leo Jonathan. And, you know, you have a bright future in my book. Now, with the WWE, those shows like Tough Enough and NXT, what do you think they're about?
They're setups.
You notice that the kids that were on those shows got contracts anyway, and the older established wrestlers, slowly they were put out to pasture in the glue factory.
The funny part is, on one of those shows,
they get them cheap. They pay them cheap. What do you think is the reason?
The Boogeyman was caught lying on the show. He lied about how old he is. They kicked him off the show, and then wouldn't you know it, the Boogeyman comes into the WWE. What was the point of having him pull that angle if he was going to the WWE anyway? They're all lies. All those guys get signed at some point or another. Maybe they don't get on TV right away. They go to those other organizations that are what I call cattle farms. But those shows are all garbage because all those guys are going to make it.
Yeah, women have lied about their age for centuries.
Well, hey,
that's another thing.
I'm not stupid to question women about their age. No, that's...
Yeah.
You got to be smart.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But anyway.
Well, I mean, it refers to double standards. So what they can do, what we could do, if we lie. I've been yelled at for telling a little fib. They put me through the meat grinder, but they could do it. You know, it's double standards. But that's another talk show.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, there's no more fun than calling women ma'am. You call them ma'am, oh, they don't like that. And for all men out there, you want to get on your women's nerves? Very easy. 3 words. Men are superior. That's worse than saying any other words you can say to them. Believe me. I say that to the women at my matches. I had one slap me right in the face, and I loved it.
An old friend of mine, Tony, taught me one thing. Dating is controlled by the 3 T's. At the end of the first date, you should be getting tongue. At the end of the second date, you should be getting tit. And by the end of the third date, you should be getting tail. Tongue, tit, and tail.
No, the only thing you get is broke.
Hey, if they want to be equal when it comes to making a living and income, then why on earth do they expect men to do and pay for everything?
Because like the old wrestlers who wrestled for nothing, they were preconditioned to be, how can you say, the lesser species. They're the ones that were believed that the men should go out and make the kill, provide it, and they stay home being barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen.
It's the St. Valentine's Day massacre on our wallets.
Believe me, I've had many a friend have his life decimated by women who are out there just because of who he was and what they thought they can get from him. And when they found out it couldn't happen, James, they dogged him until the end of time.
Gold diggers, opportunistic parasites, gold diggers. You know, men, remember, these very beautiful young women, they only have the power that they have because men give it to them. They bird dog them, chase them, give them compliments, insist on paying for everything. Hey, if I was one of those chicks, I would say, hey, this guy's a fool. Let this sucker pay for everything. You do it. That's the problem. That is why they have the power that they have. Men don't boycott. Just like Americans won't boycott an overpriced product. Could be anything. Hit them in the wallet where it counts. Nah, they don't do that because they got to have what they got to have. Americans have to have what they have to have. They're spoiled. And these are the same people that come to the pro wrestling shows.
There was one lady, very quickly, you know, the Boston Marathon was very, very tragic. There was one lady that came to an outside match in Brooklyn. She was dressed in that garb, as they call it. I got to admit, that was the first time I was ever scared at a wrestling match. Because of all these people that come in that don't appreciate this country. They think, because they're brainwashed, that this is the worst country in the world. We got to deal with people leaving cars in the middle of Times Square, wanting to blow up innocent people. Those 2 kids that left the bombs in the Boston Marathon, if they did that, you know what they're saying. They love these conspiracy, Jesse, the body Ventura people that say that. It's just amazing how this world is. You know, it's like wrestling. When they say wrestling imitates life, total moronic people who just represent themselves like crap.
Yeah, well, hey, man, to those that are religious, we are living in the end times. But I have to say one word concerning professional wrestling industry. It's the same word I'm going to say about all industries, and that is unionize, 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 unionize. Number 1, unionize. Number 1.
And the funny part about it is,
corporate CEOs, hot poo.
Like I said, the wrestlers would feel so much more at ease knowing that they're protected. The wrestlers would want to go to shows instead of, oops, my car broke down. The wrestlers would feel so much better about what they do. See, that's the thing. That's one thing I'll say about these promoters. They horsewhip them. They beat them down until they can't use them anymore. And then they wonder, oh, why didn't they come to a show? Why did they pull the no-show? Because they're broke. If they knew that they had money coming, if they knew they had a set amount of money, every match that they can count on, they would come there and kill themselves for that dollar, because that's what they're doing it for. They're doing it for 2 reasons. One, because most of them, like myself, are living out a nice dream of beating the shit out of each other. Excuse my language. But the other thing is, you try to do it for the possibility of money. That's why you do anything in this world, is money. Good old money! You know the funny part is when people say money isn't everything? 2 types of people say that. The ones that have had it and screwed up, and the ones that never have it, see you have a chance to have it, don't want you to have it, and try to discourage you from going to get it. That's why the wrestlers do what they do, because they're doing it for the money.
Only you can look out for your best interests, especially in a dog-eat-dog, just like a Mad Dog Vachon said years ago, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
He was talking about wrestling.
Mad Dog Vachon said that. It's a dog, and he was right. He's right. It is a dog-eat-dog. Unfortunately, you know, and I just want to say, really, when I'm online, when I'm doing my shows, I don't want to hear no more bullshit about me having an attitude or needing anger management or being a troublemaker or a hater. You notice when you tell somebody off, you tell them something they don't want to hear, like the real hard-hitting truth, they call you a hater. That's like a new thing with the kids. Stop being a hater. Stop being a hater. Hey, you just don't want to. Maybe I hit a raw nerve. Maybe you hit a raw nerve on some of these people.
Oh, I'm sure I have. And like I said, I'll be at an ECPW show on the 17th in Paramus. Me and the true World Heavyweight Champion, Andrew Anderson, is going to be facing that old man, that Geritol wannabe Jumbo Joe Guns, and that freak Punisher. We're going to beat them down within an inch of their lives. And if any one of you boys want to show up after I'm done kicking the hell out of those two, you're next!
And the ECPW TV, Adrenaline TV taping, does it still take place the last Friday of every month?
Yes, it does. Look online. It's all over the country. It's anywhere you want to look. You can look up any matches of anyone you want. You could look up my matches, Andrew Anderson's matches, the television champion Crazy Ivan's matches, some of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, the most athletic men I have ever had the privilege of sharing ring time with.
That is the Elks Lodge on Route 17 North in Paramus, New Jersey, right behind
Raymore and Flanagan.
Raymore and Flanagan Furniture Store. Thank you. And last Friday of every month. But just make it easy for yourself. Just go to ECPW1.com and read. I mean, some of you still know how to read. Hey, remember grammar school? Hey, okay.
Yeah, some of you know how to read, and not just what a welfare check says.
Yeah, what did the hillbillies used to call reading? Ciphering? Or does that arithmetic?
Let me tell you something. Speaking of hillbillies.
Just sort of Bodine, remember?
Speaking of hillbillies, Justin Blackwell, this is to you. You got lucky, punk. You're lucky I'm in a tag team match on the 17th. Otherwise, I will get my revenge. And believe me, you're a big boy, so everybody knows you like to eat. Guess what your next meal is when the next time we lock up? Oh, yeah, you're going to be eating everything because I'm going to shove this right down your throat.
That's right. Just for the Bodine, he graduated the 5th grade. And he's going to, remember, if you think he hits a raw nerve with what he says, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what he's going to hit. You know, you should be so lucky as to get your raw nerve hit. The real truth is a bitter pill to swallow. And you know what? It's just too damn bad. If they don't like it, that's the way the crab cake crumbles.
I'll tell you, yeah, like he just said, the real truth is a hard pill to swallow. If you don't like it, choke on it!
Choke on it. Today, you have seen the meeting. Hold the stick. The meeting of the shillelagh with the nightstick. Thank you very much.
May 17th, Paramus, be there!
Right. Thank you, Peacemaker, for being on my show.
Thank you for allowing me to say what needed to be said, what should have been said a long time ago about wrestling.
Pro Wrestling Talk. I want to say hi to my very good friend and strongman and professional wrestler. He was in the WWE, I believe, in the early 2000s. Mr. Ken Thiessen, living in Boca Raton, Florida. And that's not Del Boca Vista, where Jerry Seinfeld's parents was. Right? Ken, I salute you with my lucky shillelagh. All right. And everyone else. In my fast-growing fitness group called the International Brotherhood of Palavans, dedicated to the WWE Hall of Fame legend, the Iron Sheik, and the ancient martial art and fitness of club swinging, Persian and Indian clubs, and Indian Kushti wrestling, right? Real warriors. I want to say hi to my whole group, and thank you. All right. That's it, man.
All right, we've given these people enough.
Yeah, you know, yeah, we don't want to spoil them.